Welcome back to another edition of Standouts and Fizzouts, where we point out and talk about all 32 NFL teams in their latest matchup. And today we're talking about the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That happened last night. I was going to say overnight, but it didn't happen overnight. It happened last night. Anyway, so today we're talking about it, and everybody's got their own versions of winners and losers. Guys are they've all got their own names, but we've got our own in Standouts and Fizzouts because Pop, that's right. We love Pop. We think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Whether it's Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, doesn't matter. Hey, by the way, let us know what you guys drink. We've seen in the comments section there's people that don't drink it. Good. That's probably good for your health also. But it's also just so good. It's just so good. Coke, Pepsi, doesn't matter. It's, they're not sponsors yet, but it doesn't matter. We don't mind giving them the free shout out because they make some great products. So, I also think that at the same time, there's been some interesting ones. We've seen some great value brands out of Walmart that raised some eyebrows. So yes, Pop is the very best thing since sliced bread, and we're not afraid to say it. So with that, standouts and fizzouts, players that stood out and fizzled out did not stand out. So we'll go to the game here for the Packers and the Chiefs. You got to be kind of impressed about what happened here because there was a lot of different things in which I felt like they. When I say they, I mean both teams' quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks really showed me something. Now, Jordan Love, there's plays where Jordan Love makes that I'm just like, I'm in awe. Like he's got some great arm strength and he's got some great mobility. But then there's other plays I'm like, kind of like that pick was it Brian Cook? I can't remember who the pick was to, but Jordan Love finished 16 of 26 for 148 yards and an interception. Danny Etling went 10 of 13 for 97 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. But out of those two, they were consistently able to move the football. I still believe in Jordan Love. It was just that pick was the only thing that I felt. But at the same time, it was it was towards the end of the first half, I believe. They were just trying to get something going. I totally get the pick because, it really was, if you think about it, with as much little time as there was and the risk versus reward, I kind of get the throw. But at the same time, you want to take care of the football, so it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But in terms of running the football, Patrick Taylor Jr. had himself a pretty good game. 7 carries, 34 yards. I think he's been on the Packers for a little bit, and he's been a guy I've been keeping my eye on. Tyler Goodson finished the game with 7 carries, 428 yards, and a touchdown. Amari Rodgers, I feel like they just need to use that man. He is a diet version of Deebo Samuel. They need to use him a lot more in my mind. So, and Amari Rodgers also had 4 catches for 39 yards, and then also Samuel Torrey had 6 catches for 80 yards as well. So, when you look at these particular receivers, Romeo Doubs, I feel like is a receiver that is going to really put the NFL on notice, and I'm so excited because he's going to do some very dangerous things. He already has done some very dangerous things in this preseason. So the Packers wide receivers, I'm not really that worried about. I feel like they're going to do a fantastic job this year, and it's not like everybody makes a big deal and made a big deal about how the fact that they don't have any All-Pro wide receivers. Well, so do not a lot of other NFL teams for that matter. So I think they're going to be just fine, especially with what they've done. Then defensively, was it Micah Abernathy who had that? He almost had that pick on that that tight end screen. I couldn't believe that. I was like, it's tough when you get down in the red zone and you got a man that made an absolute play. By the way, I gotta say, I know the Chiefs are pretty stacked at tight end, but Matt Bushman had himself a game, 3 catches, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns there. That was a pretty good game by him. But Micah Abernathy led the way with 5 tackles. Also, Jack Heflin had 5 tackles as well. And in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, I don't think the Packers registered a sack. Not really that worried about it. I felt, if I'm being honest, there's so much, this defensive line, the starting defensive line for the Packers is so good that I don't think a lot of people are really ready for how good this defensive line can be. I think it's going to set the tone and do a lot of special things for it. So, the offense seemed to stall a little bit, but, some players I felt really needed to stand out, like Amari Rodgers. I felt like he definitely did his part. I think he's going to have himself a roster spot as well as Romeo Doubs. There's some guys sprinkled in there that I think are going to have, like Quay Walker. Obviously, the first round pick is going to have his way on the roster. So, I would have liked to see Jordan Love uncork it a little bit more, but at the same time, you want him to take care of the football. Again, a double-edged sword there. Then we head over to the Chiefs side of things. Shane, hold on, I got to get this right. I got to do this. Shane, pronunciation. I always want to get these right for you guys. Pronunciation. There we go. Shane Bycool. What?
Shane Buechel.
Buechel. All right, Shane Buechel. There we go. Okay, so Shane Buechel had himself a pretty good game, honestly. 11 of 17, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Chad Henne also came in and went 4 of 7 for 23 yards. Dustin Crum, 1 of 1 for 11 yards. So, Shane Buechel, excuse me, I feel like he is one of the more underrated backup quarterbacks in the NFL, or at least a quarterback that deserves more credit. Because I don't have a problem. Like, if Patrick Mahomes goes down, I don't have a problem with Buechel coming in and doing his thing. I think he can get the job done. And I think he needs to get a little bit more respect. I know both of his touchdowns were to one guy, but also at the same time, there's a difference to be made of a guy that makes the plays that you need to in order to win a football game, and the guy that you lose because of it. And Buechel's not that guy you're not going to lose because of Shane Buechel. In terms of running the football, Isaiah Pacheco, I think I'm going to get that. I want to make sure. I think it's ISAIH Pacheco pronunciation. How to pronounce Isaiah? I think it's Pacheco. I'm not going through all this. Okay, so yeah, Pacheco had himself 52 yards on 10 carries. Ronald Jones also the second at 8 carries for 43 yards there. So, overall, I felt like the Chiefs, they're able to run the ball pretty effectively, even though they had, I don't think they played a whole lot of their starting offensive line. I don't think anybody, if I remember correctly. But overall, you're kind of intimidated by how well the Chiefs can run the football just because of all the different things that they can do. Honestly, offensively, they're a more talented team. So I'm really excited to see what they do moving forward. I think they're in a good position to be able to both run the football and pass it, because they are a full-fledged, a team with a lot of different threats. So as we move forward here, they've got some running backs. They got like 7 different running backs that can get the job done, and it's just so fun to watch. And plus, Corey Coleman, a guy, the former first-round pick, was it out of Baylor or something, by the Browns back in the day? I know a lot of people might think he might be a little bit of a shot, might be a little bit of a long shot to make the roster. I think he's got a shot, though, and if he gets in with Patrick Mahomes and starts to do some stuff, I think he could really kind of rejuvenate his career there. Like we talked about earlier, Matt Bushman, 3 catches, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Again, the Chiefs have themselves a good amount of tight ends, but Bushman, I think, if he doesn't make the Chiefs, he at least made himself a reason to be on another NFL team, because he showed the ability to catch the football. I think he's pretty good at blocking, as well as, he's pretty good at run after the catch as well. He's got some of that sneaky speed. Joshua Williams led the way for the Chiefs with 5 tackles. Elijah Lee, the former, was at the Wildcat, coming up out of Kansas State, if I remember correctly. This was kind of one of those performances by the Chiefs defense. It did a good job. I felt like, if and again, that's the second and third team kind of guys in a game like this, but overall, guys like Brian Cook, you love to see him get that interception before the half. He's a guy that just flies around and makes plays. I'm really excited to see what he'll do. And the DiCarpio Boodle also had himself a sack, as well as Joshua Kando. I've liked Kando, ever since he stepped foot on the field. I think he's going to be kind of an underrated pass rusher, or if he's given the chance for the Chiefs. So, I think there's a lot to go off of here, especially with guys like George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie. I believe he did leave the game with an injury, but Corey Coleman also had himself a very nice kickoff return to start things out there as well. So Corey Coleman, I think he's obviously going to make the roster as a return man, but I also think at the same time you've got to take a serious look at some of your receivers and what he can do for you in that regard. So I think he's going to make the roster, and like I said, if he can get in with Patrick Mahomes and really establish a rapport there, I think he can revitalize his career, or rejuvenate it. Excuse me. But that's it. Those are our standouts and fizzouts for the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, I felt like there weren't when you get into the games like this, it's really just finding guys that are going to be able to do just enough to make plays to make the roster. So, but make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. Greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are absolutely awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So make sure you guys give us a like and a follow there. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com, or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about our latest edition of Standouts and FIZZOUTS Pop, greatest thing since sliced bread, for the Green Bay Packers versus Kansas City Chiefs preseason game.